Part 51. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 513. This is the price of the line of time. The more you touch, the more serious it will be invaded. Cromie sighed, I have been infected too much by time source and cannot stop. In the footsteps, I can't turn away again. No pop-up window. Is the intrusion of time irreversible? You should have mastered the sacred spell of time. Ziwei gently slammed the bomber on the sand of time, but these golden sands were unmoved. Still stuck in his body, even in the soul. The infestation of time can only be delayed, but it is difficult to reverse. Of course, this is also a pros and cons. The more the sand is infested by time, the more powerful the spells you can exert. Any kind of powerful power, all need to be affordable enough to bear. Ziwei, I think this should still be within your acceptable range. Cromie gently turned around. Unlike me, from the soul to the body, the subtle parts have been contaminated with the eternal time sand. If the first time I saw the true body of the dragon of time, only the shock to Ziwei was brought, but at this moment, 11 Wei gave birth to the sympathy of the great existence in front of him. The price of becoming a dragon of time is the one who has become the source of time. Cromie is so powerful, but cannot get rid of the shackles of time. The 9 days of 11 Wei's whirlpool in time, although he was contaminated with sand for a lot of time, but his harvest is more, so this gift from Cromie is still the kindness he has to bear. The timing of the world is something you and I can't change at all, but I can turn into a small wave in the long river. The time is just like the manipulation time. You can't change the world, but you can change your time briefly. Node. As you understand the understanding of time, I believe you will do it. Cromie revealed a mysterious smile to Ziwei, give you a little advice, before you decide before the road ahead, don't explore too much of the time source, otherwise. I understand, Miss Chrome. Ziwei nodded. I will keep your advice in mind. The time is tight, I won't leave you strong. Cromie reached out and added a golden portal on the left side. The end of the original contract will soon come, and the world of Orient will usher in one holocaust. I am looking forward to your wonderful performance, Ziwei. Ziwei waved to Cromie and stepped into the portal. I will try to be the best actor, Cromie. This time there was no accident, and Ziwei appeared directly on the outskirts of Pali. He and Schiller went to the location of the bones. Although not stated, Schiller has fully expressed his attitude. As the most powerful spiritual master of the world, the asylum seeker and leader of the spiritual school, he has decided to completely devote himself to the dark camp and open up a new world. As a result, Schiller and Ziwei parted ways, and the short-term alliance and tacit understanding have all disappeared. In the White Crow City, where the soul is in the dream plane, Ziwei will no longer go in the short term. It is very good for Schiller not to reveal his identity in the capital of the dead. If you have to intervene in the internal affairs of White Crow City, then but it is just boring. From Schiller's point of view, his choice of road is not wrong, but Ziwei still has a very strong skepticism about the person of Rustir, as the Dragon of Shadows who received the high praise of the Lord of the Morning. The performance was too low-key, and there was too much conspiracy in the body. Working with such people, I am afraid that Schiller is hard to take up too much. After thinking about it, Ziwei once again entered the Notre Dame of Par, and he has already obtained the authority of the morning sun, Ulysses, who can open it directly into the morning without any alarm except for the Lord of the Morning. The secret room inside the shelter. It was already late at night, and in the early winter, Parley was snowing, and the whole city was already in a dead silence, but when Ziwei appeared here, Ulysses slammed the door. I am very happy to see you innocent. Ulysses showed a sincere smile. The trip to the Dark Council must have put a lot of pressure on you. The pressure is great, the harvest is also great. After receiving the guidance of Cromie, Ziwei temporarily concealed the traces of sand in his time, and the appearance did not seem to be abnormal. Ziwei did not waste time, but directly gathered a huge three-dimensional map of the Orient continent in the air, showing the targets of the major forces of the Dark Council one by one. I actually completely emptied the Holy Norman Empire. Ulysses looked at the striking blank of the entire center of the Orient continent. This is incredible. In addition to the Holy Norman Empire, the second strongest country is the Kingdom of France. France will also bear the most powerful pressure, because the land and the endless abyss will simultaneously attack the French kingdom. The tragic war will soon start, Ziwei said very quickly. According to my observation, after the end of the original contract, the first wave of the Dark Council's offensive will inevitably be carried out directly in the Rhineland and the Kingdom of France. This will be a long-awaited blow, and the entire continent of the Orient will look at the focal length here. Charles VIII will have a big trouble. Ulixia, how will you decide? Ulicia is in silence. The foundation of the entire mourning sect is in the Kingdom of France. Under normal circumstances, the mourning sect will inevitably cooperate with the French kingdom and develop their own beliefs and church organizations in cooperation. Grow up. But now, the Kingdom of France will face the two sides of the infinite abyss of the demon monarch and the undead king of the boneless land in the near future, becoming the most tragic battlefield in the whole of the Orient continent. Does the mourning sect choose to join this ground meet? The battlefield is a very difficult decision to make. Thank you very much for the first-hand top-secret news from Ziwei, which will determine the future fate of the mourning sect. Yulia sincerely thanked Ziwei. I need to discuss with the Ancesis bishop and combine the situation to make the final decision. I must also return to Violet Island immediately, then I will see Ulixia again. The 9 days of the whirlpool of the time were not in the plan of Ziwei. Now the time is too urgent. It is really a waste of 1 minute and 1 second. It is. So come to a parting hug, cheer for our unbreakable alliance. Ulixia took a deep breath, and 2 big eyes gleamed at Ziwei. Ziwei stepped forward and had a warm hug with the blonde girl in front of him. The girl in her arms had the essence, as if she were more like a real freshman. Goodbye, Ulixia, work hard together, for a brighter tomorrow. 11 Wei waved his hand gently, and his figure had disappeared into the white light that sent the spell. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 514. Before going to the Dark Parliament, Ziwei had deliberately went to the Royal Academy of Magical Academy in France, met with Yang, and informed them to end the exchange career of the Royal French Academy of Magic and quickly return to Violet. Latest chapter reading. Ziwei also deliberately went to the Palais Daily, which is selling more and more under the management of Murdoch's father and son. Now the average daily sales volume has stabilized at more than 200,000. This is a very bad one. Achievements. When 11 Wei and Murdoch talked about a magical time, they left. From this day, Murdoch and his son began to transfer some of the most core talents and facilities and wealth to the island of Violet. Doc insisted on sitting in Pai Li, and Murdoch and his family have moved to Nan Hai Town. Violet Island is located on the western Golden Sea and does not seem to be attacked by any dark parliamentary forces. However, the southern part of the French kingdom to the north is about to become a devil's landing field. The eastern kingdom of Italy will also become a new paradise for vampires. Violet in this case will inevitably require all kinds of protection and alertness, so it is not too much to be careful. Now Ziwei is very familiar with long-distance transmission spells. The second method, Grodix 36 emptiness inscriptions, have been mastered, although it has not yet been able to directly construct 32 hollow inscriptions in the soul. Photographed through the universal world and promoted the legendary field, but Ziwei's mastery of space spells is no worse than most legendary casters. After a transfer and 2 transfers, Ziwei returned directly to the island from Pai, and the long journey to the 3 places was finally over. Although it took less than a month to leave the Violet, Ziwei already thought very much. Home. Back to the residence on the top floor of the Violet Fort. It was late at night, but Ziwei did not see Natalia and Charlotte. After thinking about it, Ziwei went directly to the Smurf plane. Ziwei came to the right time, and he saw a spectacular scene in the sky. Thousands of Smurfs were dressed in neat, uniform blue uniforms, lined up in a neat queue of blue-violet magical leopards. The leopards have undergone long-term research and many improvements in the blood research laboratory. It is totally different from their ancestors. Every Smurf Knight and the Fallen Blade have signed a modified version of the magic pet summoning contract, which can resonate directly on the soul level. The wisdom of the magic blade leopard is also greatly enhanced, and complex tactics can be completed under the command of the knight. Action. More importantly, the Smurfs are a natural elemental affinity race, and each Smurf Knight is at least a 3-ring magician. After Ziwei transformed the original underground demon into an elemental ocean, after the magic classroom teaching in Ziwei, the magician level of the Smurf race ushered in an explosive development. Up to now, a large number of have emerged. The 5-ring high-level magician. Of course, these magicians are pure elemental magicians. Their knowledge, spell list, and research ability are far less than those of the Violet Academy's 5-ring high-level magicians, but the Smurfs constitute the Westway's arcane core. The main force. They are devoutly convinced that the blue gods are under the guidance of the Blue Daemon Temple. These 3 years ago, the Smurfs plain time, also lived in the primitive tribes, and the Smurfs entered into a highly developed industrial society. Ziwei has built many important heavy industry factories in the sacred capital of the center of the Smurfs. It has become a huge industrial city and a religious, educational, cultural, and political center of the entire plain. At this moment, the Arcane Corps is carrying out a military parade under the command of Natalia. Natalia is wearing a sky blue uniform with golden coats and ribbons. This uniform is unique and is the result of the West. Give Natalia, because it is the martial suit of the Arcane Corps. Natalia loved the uniform very much, even wearing it when she was just getting it. Ziwei also played several uniforms with Natalia, and the experience was really good. The power of the entire Violet is divided into 2 parts. The Violet Academy represents the spirit of the arcane. It is an infinite possibility. It is the beacon of the arcane and the hope of the future. The Smurfs are rich in resources and a representative. The powerful army of advanced productivity is also an important reliance of Ziwei, that is, the Arcane Corps. The population of the Night Elf tribe is about 1,000 people, but a total of 300 people have joined the Arcane Corps. Under the command of the Black Priest of the Luna Priest, they are equally fierce and willing to fight for Ziwei. Because Ziwei once made a solemn commitment to them, it will be to enter the dark area in the near future, and rescue the dark girl Elijah from the Supreme Cage. Natalia's own guardian squad was also fully armed. They all passed through the blood and turned into a noble blood knight. The rider was a magical leopard that was specially strengthened by the blood research laboratory. Wearing a steel armor carefully polished by the forging factory, the hand is waving a sharp sword and a stab. As Natalia's guardian knights, they all swear allegiance to Natalia himself, not the Count of Bonaparte. Although there was a feeling of being idle when I first swore allegiance to Natalia, now they have better equipment than the members of the Bonaparte Swift-Wind Knights. And as an officer team in the Arcane Corps, the future is even brighter. 11 Way slowly landed behind the rostrum. Charlotte, a red-clad costume, saw a surprise smile after he saw him. He jumped into his arms and hugged him for a long time. Natalia did not notice this scene. Her face was determined and bold. Her body was straight and loose. The mountain and the sea came from the unique breathing method of the Great Master and the Golden Lion and the Wind of the Wind. There have been wonderful changes in her body, turning her whole person into a more mature, prestigious, and leading commander. Artillery units, attack! Boel also stood straight under the rostrum, and he waved the flag and shouted. In the surrounding hills, the artillery units that were originally in the disguise quickly disarmed, and the huge magical array began to shine, and the richest elements were gathered here. If the magic gun that can issue the arcane missile can be used for individual combat, then what kind of effect can the fireball can be used in the war? To be continued. Dash. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 515. Although elemental spells have inherent flaws, Zai Wei has always been committed to building such war gods and gradually solving every flaw. Latest chapter reading. Is the spell power insufficient? The artillery has been able to carry and release the 3-ring fireball from the earliest, and improve to the most powerful artillery that can directly release the flame explosion of the 6 rings. From the earliest can be easily restrained by the same order element protection array, and now join the most critical ether element conversion module. Although the required energy consumption has increased significantly, it can penetrate most of the protection array. At the same time, the Smurf's magician is constantly contributing his own wisdom, from the enhancement of the artillery to the shortening of the firing interval, to the artillery steel casting and the use of artillery. Everyone has suggestions and tests to improve each stage. Now the artillery unit has been fully formed and will soon be revealed in the future war. If the students of the Violet Academy are more inclined to theoretical exploration, then the magicians of the Smurfs are already under the guidance of Zai Wei, and they have become an uncompromising war in the teachings of the Blue Temple. Master. Booming, the artillery unit locked the target, and the magical force, such as the cannon's element pool, the tumbling element pool filled with pure flame elements, the huge energy in focus, and soon released. The earth is shaking, the sky is smashing, the horrible flames fly over the sky, and it falls directly over the target 5 kilometers away. Countless people are shivering, but their eyes are filled with fanatic excitement. This is the real weapon of war. The king of the battlefield. The power of a round of artillery squad has exceeded the level of an 8-ring spell Fire and Rain, and there are some advantages over the legendary spell of the 9 rings, the fire burns the city, that is S. However, the use of an 8-ring spell or a 9-ring spell requires a magical master or even a legendary caster, but only 3 to 5 ring magicians can be used to activate these cannons. Zai Wei has never disclosed his exploration and research on war magic, but in the turbulent era, the Arcane Core will cast its anger and add a heavyweight weight to the ideals and ambitions of Zai Wei. Zai Wei did not disturb the military parade of the Arcane Core. He quietly took Charlotte and looked at the mighty and majestic teacher in front of him. This is his own army. This is the Arcane Core. They fight for themselves. Fight for the Violets. After Natalia solemnly announced the end of the military parade, 11 Wei appeared in front of Natalia. You lost weight, this time is hard. 11 Wei's hand gently touched Natalia's more distinct lines of cheeks, trained from such a mighty master. The effort, an effort only Natalia knows for herself. It was very tired, but when I saw Zai Wei, this moment, I was full of strength. Natalia looked up and said proudly, how, I am training the Arcane Core for you. What? Not you, but we. Zai Wei will take Natalia's love into her arms. This will be a master of the world, it will be our stage in the continent of Orient. Brilliant weapon. Will the war come, Zai Wei? Natalia looked directly at the eyes of Zai Wei. The relatives of Zai Wei's relatives pressed the tip of her nose against her nose, and the fingers of the two were clasped together. Yes, it's right. I am not afraid of war, I am not afraid of death, I only care about one point, that is, whether my life makes sense. Natalia whole person posted on the body of Zai Wei. It seems that all the iron bones have been turned around refers to softness. Being with you is the most happy and meaningful time of my life. This happiness will be eternal. Natalia, we will work together to change the world and make it more prosperous and better. In the distance, Charlotte looked at the couple who were tightly embracing with a smile. The three had already become family relationships, and in Charlotte's opinion, Natalia was also the best for Zai Wei. That one. Although she is somewhat masculine and somewhat strange, she is the one who can best resonate with Ziwei. Their bodies are full of youthful vigor. This is exactly what their moths are. The biggest reason for Ziwei. Ziwei returned to Violet with Natalia and Charlotte, while Zero chose to stay here. She will truly exercise the role of the Blue Big God, guiding the entire Smurf race to meet the requirements of Ziwei, and adjust the future development direction and specific division of labor. This is a novel work and experience. It turns into a Blue Cat's Zero feeling. The whole person is a lot easier. When a carefree and free Blue Big God, it seems to be standing next to Ziwei. Others are much better in front of others. When I was in the morning refuge, Ulixia, the Lord of the Morning Dawn, observed a lot and was very deep. To some extent, she and Ulixia had many similarities. The same seemingly inhuman and non-human, also has a unique ability. Compared with Eurikia, perhaps his greatest fortune, is the deepest soul with Ziwei. In Ulixia, I felt a kind of exhaustion and loneliness. It was the exhaustion of a long road that has been going on for thousands of years. It is the loneliness that no one understands and no one resonates. She is unique, she also unable to find any companions. She is the Lord of the Morning, she is the first light of the Orient world. After the Lord of Glory has left, she must raise the half-god of the Banner of Light. She is bound to be the demigod and the strong of the Dark Council. Fighting must be successful, and failure means complete degeneration. All she can face is only believers, collaborators, and users. Even in the presence of Bishop Ansi, she can't really relax. This is also why in the face of Ziwei Ulixia will become more humane, because 11 Wei's attitude towards her is never high, just like treating a real friend. What is the real person? How can one become a real person? What is God's existence? Zero holds this question about her future and begins to try to implement God's authority. She learned a lot from Ulixia and can try it on the Smurfs. At the end of the military parade, Solomon, the Archbishop of the Blue Daemon Temple, once again passed through the portal to the Temple of Snow Mountain, the place where the Blue Big first descended the miracle. The Archbishop is here to pray daily, and the priests of the temple have long cleaned up the hall of the temple and await the presence of the Archbishop. Solomon, who was in the golden line of blue robes, was full of graceful and luxurious atmosphere. His authority has gradually increased and his power has become stronger. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 516. Like the Lord's Blue Big God, your wisdom leads us forward. Solomon, a high-powered, meditatively carried out the most solemn prayers. In front of him is the statue of the Blue Sacred. My believers and servants, I have received your prayers. A voice suddenly appeared in his mind, and Solomon trembled. This voice was when he was lying in the mud, desperately waiting for death. When God guides his voice. Like the Lord, Solomon piously smashed 9 heads on the ground, which is the most solemn ceremony in the Blue Daemon. Solomon, what do you think about the future of the Smurfs? Since the beginning of Ziwei's own Blue Big Men, which sounds very happy, Zero has never been with his Archbishop. Communication, which seems to be a very unqualified performance for any god. Solomon was an experienced and very intelligent old man. At this moment, he was really surprised and happy. He didn't expect to wait for many days, and finally waited for a chance to talk to Daemon. Solomon is now a 6-ring high-level elemental wizard. If it is not limited by the natural limitations of the Smurf plane, he can even begin to challenge the elemental school of magic masters. However, this step is already a limit. If you want to go through the magician's path and break through the master's rank, you must leave the Smurf plane and go to the main world where the continent is located. This will be a strange world. It is also a world that is far more open than the Smurfs. And the Smurfs represented by Solomon are simply the quickest way to go on the magical path, so that in so many times they have upgraded so many steps, and if they want to be promoted to masters, they must make up for too many courses and knowledge. The time required is also difficult to estimate. As the only believer of the Blue Big God, as the main force of the Arcane Core, the Smurf's upper limit must try to circumvent this obstacle and make a quicker and more effective breakthrough. For the secret of the master level, Zero has accumulated too much research material, from the breakthrough of himself and Zaiwei in the major magic schools, from Natalia's breakthrough in the Blood Knight, from the various masters the power analysis of the enemies of the ranks. Why can God get faith? Just because they can do things that mortals can't do, granting power and showing miracles is naturally the most effective way. Don't say Zero, even the early morning Lord Elysia, it is impossible to grant true power to believers. However, as the first light of the Orient world, she has mastered some of her bright origins, but she can give some of her power to believers in a way similar to granting divine power, so that they can directly master powerful without learning. Spells can even break through key levels. The Black Priest of the Luna Priest is under the silver moon of Ms Yin, and rises directly from the fifth order to the seventh eclipse of the moon god. Of course, Ms Yin is the first in the world of Orient, and now it is impossible to imitate his 1.1. But this did not prevent Zero from conducting a test. She indirectly grasped and understood some of the origin of the Frost, the sixth apostle from Zaiwei, Princess Scarlet. After waking up from her sleep, Princess Scarlet seems to have grown up overnight. She has demonstrated great learning ability for Frost-related spells. In just 1 month, she can directly display the 5-ring level Frost spells, and it was Zero and Meryl who helped her complete the 4-element Heart of the Lake, and she was promoted to become a mid-level magician. The source of Frost on Scarlet is much smaller than that of the light source and the time spent by Chromie, which has brought more convenience to the analysis and research of Zero. She has achieved a lot of results. Now is the opportunity for practice. The Archbishop Solomon did not realize what the Lord Blue God was thinking. He did what the leader of the church should have and began to analyze the gods he believed in. My Lord, with the magic in-depth understanding and contact with the extraterrestrial visitors with the violet emblem, the door to a new world has opened to me. Our world is only a small part of the whole world, and you and the person with the violet emblem are outsiders. Speaking of this, Solomon's forehead has fine sweat beads oozing out. Strictly speaking, this is simply a sacred language, but as the Archbishop of the Blue God Church, as the leader of the million Smurfs, he is duty-bound. Must be said. After waiting for a long time, without getting any punishment from the Big Blue God, Solomon put down his worry and continued, I don't have any disrespect to the Lord. I still believe in your faith. Anyway, no Blue Big God, I have died in hunger and cold, and the whole race of the Smurfs is still ignorant, that is, the time of using the millennium cannot develop to the present level. Praise the Blue Big God, no matter it's me, or all the Smurfs, and your faith is firm, without any shake. Solomon's words were a bit guilty. His impassioned words, the goddess wearing the golden thread blue robes began to gather your followers trained into a strong army. The army is epoch making. I have seen the process of its birth step by step, but my lord, there are too few traces in this army from the commander to the officers at all levels. Almost all of them are violets, even though they are in the army. 70% of the people are your followers. Our Smurfs have received your grace, and are naturally willing to fight for you. Death is not enough, but we are afraid that death is meaningless and sacrifices our flesh and blood in exchange for the glory of others. Solomon, the old man, let go of his voice and said all the worries in his heart. He was always in peace. He was very worried about this intense atmosphere of preparation. He knew nothing about the future, and the future. He would have all the miracles and gifts belong to himself, but with deep vigilance against Zaiwei and Violet. Very interesting, isn't it? Zero smiles and stands in the position of an archbishop. Solomon is devout to himself, and his fear is in his own situation. But who knows the true relationship between yourself and Zaiwei? That is more close than the blood, the lover, the best friend, and can never be cut off. Solomon, you are very good, but your vision is not wide enough. The cold voice resounded in the mind of Archbishop Solomon. I will send you to the center of the Orient, the center of the multidimensional plane, to open your eyes and see what the world really deserves. This is not a world of only God. Zero will not worry that these smurfs will see the collapse of their faith after seeing the main material plane. Because in the teachings of the blue God, there has never been any blueness. The blue sacred creates the world's infinite and high-level illusions and prayers. This is a world with multiple faiths, both in the past and in the future. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 517. Going to the center of the entire multifaceted plane? There were countless thoughts in Solomon's mind, and in the end, joy took the upper hand. The Smurf's plane is too small, so small that he stands on the temple of the snow mountain. You can almost see the entire plane. As small as this plane can only accommodate millions of people to survive, it seems that he is really the frog at the bottom of the well recorded in the Holy Scriptures. Since the violet forces represented by Miss Natalia began to wear the robes of God in the Holy City, Solomon had the world to explore the other side, but he was the blue great temple. The Archbishop is the Lord's shepherd. Solomon, a peace era that lasted for 2,000 years is coming to an end, and a war that will sweep the entire multifaceted plane will start. The intensity of this war will far exceed your imagination. No one can be spared. The Smurfs can't. Even me, there are those similar kind of existence. The voice of Zero has become very firm. The cooperation with Violet is for you, for me, for the entire Smurf race, mutual benefit. I don't want any more complaints. Your will is our flag. Solomon was respectful and devoted, and it was obvious that his words had not been recognized by the Lord. This seems a bit bad. In the past 3 years, I have seen all your words and deeds. In recognition of your dedication and outstanding contribution, I will give you a new glory. The next oracle from the blue big made Solomon happy. Even the old tears, all the hard work of my 3 years has not been in vain. Solomon's devout degree of faith in the blue God's faith is unquestionable. He completely released the physical and soulful resistance and hostility in front of Zero, even with a wild welcome and expectation. What you have to do is a very meaningful thing. For the topic of the gods, the most valuable result so far is Frost Core. Since Ms. Yin first appeared in the heart of Ziwei and gave the AI Luna series of blessings, she began to list the research on the gods as the highest level. However, the level of Ziwei and Zero has not been able to really reach the level of the gods, and there are very few achievements. But until the arrival of Princess Scarlet and the cooperation with the younger sister of the morning, Ulixia, the research on the subject of the gods finally ushered in a leap forward. During the morning refuge, whether it was for the light source or Ulixia itself, Zero has carried out a lot of research and experiments. When constructing the Holy Light rune in Ziwei, it discussed a lot about the gods with Ulixia. The mystery of the demigod and divine power. Frost Magic Core is a combination of this part of the research results, and the theoretical application of Scarlet's Ice and Snow source, and the most critical, Zero Intelligent Core module. Yes, Zero now does not step into the realm of demigod. She cannot use and give the power of the source like Ulixia, but Zero has adopted the function of its own intelligent core module. The power of the source has been re-established. Compilation and design, the approximate simulation of the application method similar to Ulixia. Although the Frost Magic has only adopted the architecture of the primary intelligent module, the power of this little frost has been perfectly displayed and applied. This is the creation of the wisdom of the two universes. For its effect, Zero is very much expected. Solomon saw a glistening ice blue crystal that flew out of the blue statue of the great god, so suspended in front of him. Swallow it, obtain the instructions of the Lord, and Solomon opened his mouth without hesitation, swallowing this sputum into the belly. Soon, he sensed that the crystal of frost melted in the body, rose, and reached the brain directly, and began to act on the heart lake, spiritual power, and even the soul. Solomon firmly believed that the Lord would not deceive or harm himself. He prayed piously to the blue god, and then continued to let go of everything, letting the crystal of the frost change in the body. The crystallization of frost crystallizes his heart lake. In the four-element heart lake, the heart water field that belongs to the water element is rapidly expanding, and it also drives the growth of other three-line lakes. The crystallization of frost and his mental power gradually merged into one, so that his spiritual power line is accompanied by a cold frost chill. In the end, the frost crystallized and even began to enter his soul, turned into a spiral curve, entangled in his soul, gradually integrated into one, combined into one. At this moment, Solomon suddenly felt a powerful force appearing in his mind. This power is so familiar, as if it has been in his body, as if he had mastered it for a long time. Very good, the power of God has been completed, you can understand this new power. Zero nodded with satisfaction. Solomon in front of him, from the soul level or mental strength, heart lake field all reached the standard of the magic master. In other words, a frost magic core directly helps the six-ring magician Solomon to advance to the seven-ring magic master. He did not complete the challenge of any master certificate. This is the gift of divine power. This is the means that God should have. Solomon stood up and closed his eyes, feeling the change in his own body. At this moment, he had more confidence in the blue and more faith in the Lord's faith. Once again, he broke through the limits of the Smoth race and entered the realm of the violet people. The Master's card is a very strong threshold. Countless people are squatting outside the door. They struggle through various methods. After a long period of time, they can't complete the challenge and advance to the realm of masters. But under the gift of my Master Blue Big God, I easily skip this threshold. Isn't this a miracle or something? The Archbishop of Solomon, who looked at the ambition and confidence, was not too excited. The core strength of the frost magic is still from Scarlet's ice and snow source, which is the most critical non-renewable resource. Scarlet has very little ice and snow, and even if it is completely clean, only about 8 to 10 frost magic cores can be made, so that Scarlet will completely lose the shelter of the ice and snow and become the most common child. Ziwei will never allow himself to do this. Zero does not like repetitive work. The magic masters created by frost magic and the real magic masters who have completed the challenge of the master are still very different. However, with Solomon's current strength, it is more than enough to deal with the enemies under the master. This is enough. The research on the origin of ice and snow can come to an end. Zero reveals a gentle smile and begins the next topic in the research sequence. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 518. Genius Remember Love Mail sign divided by. Say rightward arrow network to provide you with wonderful novel reading. The first thing after Ziwei returned to Violetburg was not to sleep in the beauty, but to understand the important issues that occurred in Violet Island during this time. Charlotte, as the secretary, had already prepared some of the things that were presented to Ziwei. Documents and newspapers. Love upward arrows I said. The most important documents in front of Ziwei are the third phase of Arcane, the second issue of Magic, and the new Violet Journal. In the third issue of Arcane, because Ziwei left the Violet, he handed over the final manuscript review of this Arcane to the chief member of the Arcane Review Committee, and also the Abyss Law Council of the Thousand Laws. Speaker, Bo Scholar Anthony. With the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Copenhagen, Hemmer, the head of the North Witches Parliament, the first and second of the United Magic Academy, Cesare, successively entered the Arcane Council, and the current Arcanist headquarters formed a joint of three major forces. Body. Although the Violet Academy is not one of the 5 magic centers of Orient, it is because of the Zaiwei. It can be listed as the 3 pillars of the Arcanist with the Thousand Law Tower and the Royal Academy of Magical Academy. The teachers and students of Violet all cheered and yelled. The singing and support of the President of the US has also reached a new peak. The 3rd issue of Arcane is still 21 papers, which is beyond the expectation of Zaiwei. Bo scholar Anthony seems to have changed a lot from the last time he advised him, from the Tower of the Thousand Laws. The quality of the 7 papers is evident in the quality of the 7 papers. The quality of the 7 papers has risen sharply compared to the previous 2 periods. The Tower of the Thousand Laws is the most shining magician of the Orient continent, and those outstanding talents that are not known to outsiders are popular. The arcane of the entire magical world as a carrier began to reveal the corner of the skull. Love upward arrows I said. The papers written by Zaiwei have also been reduced from 7 to 5, but correspondingly, there are 3 papers published by the Violet Academy on Arcane, which is one thing that makes Zaiwei more happy. Exploration of Magical Innovations Brought by Species Differences, by Professor Morris, the old friend of the Night Elves, on the caste races of Orient's common elves, humans, gnomes, and dragons, and the differences between mixed races and different races. The magical changes brought about by the subtle differences in species have been thoroughly explored, and the words are rigorous and rigorous. More importantly, this will help the magicians understand the basics and construction of the spell from a more in-depth perspective. It can be said to be a very valuable arcane thesis. Just watching this arcane paper, Zaiwei can confirm that the dark elf who once sold the big adventure card in the fascinating life pub has begun to challenge the master's card. He is already going to the end of his life. His life has completely embarked on a brand new road. Now he is full of fighting spirit and has a promising future. Artificial Intelligence Server Exploration and Architecture by Professor Christine, the youngest talented genius master of the School of Architecture, once again published a core paper on the frontiers of the structuring school. Without the need for original fire activation, artificial intelligence. The exploration carried out a large number of experiments and work, published in the phase theory. Christine's research is the result of the continuous upgrade and innovation of the product of Western's spell list, with Zaiwei putting magic into the simple spell list server for 5 magics. Center, the intelligent mechanical structure of this architecture school has attracted a lot of attention and curiosity. Compared to traditional magic books, this spell list server is completely out of which aspect. Teaching is simpler, but the effect is better. The growth of the explosive magician of the Violet Academy has been noticed by countless people, which is also representative of the superiority of the arcane of Zaiwei, relying on the traditional 3-dimensional structure of spell model, casting material and magic book. The educational approach to magical knowledge has begun to take on new changes, starting with the Violets and gradually blowing across the entire continent of Orient. 3 Laws and Applications of Electromagnetics, author Merrill. This paper is published in the Journal of Violet, New Characteristics of Lightning in a Stationary State, and has conducted in-depth exploration and research on lightning and magnetic fields. The law, and prospects for the multiple applications of electromagnetic 3 laws, and the corresponding spell model construction. It can be said that Merrill has already completed most of the foundation work of the electromagnetic field that Zaiwei has envisioned in the article Electromagnetic Induction, the expansion of the new field of elemental school with these 2 papers. She even walked in many and also got the same. Before the Magic Master of Zaiwei inspired. This paper was highly praised by the Arcane Review Committee. It was awarded 800 arcane points and was directly promoted to the 5-star Arcane Master. She is also the only Arcane Master who is not yet a Magic Master. After 3 years of hard work and careful planning, the Violet College, a remote island originally located in the western Golden Sea, has finally begun to bloom in the glory of the arcane. Although it is not dazzling, it has already begun to shine above the entire continent of Orient. Vice-Chancellor Yang, the most under-respected and trusted by Zaiwei, just led the exchange students to return from Pi Li. Although Yang is still less than 20 years old, he has matured too much. Yang has had many gains in studying at the Royal Academy of Magic and the Changing Towers in France. He even got personal guidance from Victor Hugo, the Lord of Change, but with so much knowledge needed slowly precipitate, in order to bear the fruits of your own wisdom. In addition to the Violet Academy, with Arcane and Magic, Zai Wei can also see the subtle changes that took place in the 5 magic centers of Orient. The idea of arcane is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Those who are most explored are the best at. The magician who learns is the first to accept, and he will be the most suitable arcane seed. For the widespread spread of the arcane concept, the emotions of the 5 major magic centers in the high-level conflict and hostility did not occupy the mainstream, which is why Zai Wei was assisted and endorsed by 2 legendary legends, and more is the arcane spirit. Immediate effect and effect. Any magician who has to start trying to understand and learn arcane will have to admit that the arcane will help him master the magic more effectively and continue to move forward. There are very few magician theorists, most of them are pragmatists. Many people are also practicing the magic of several major schools of magic. With the future of creating a new magic school, they will achieve the legendary dreams of the legend. The arcane is for them. It is a food, it is a boost, so the arcane concept can spread smoothly throughout the magic world and gradually spread its influence. To be continued, mobile users please browse and read, a better reading experience. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 519. Putting down the arcane journal, Zai Wei looked up and saw the rising sun rising outside the window. The sun shined more than half of the blue bay into a dazzling golden color, creating a warm feeling in the cold of the early winter. w.kududu.n.ud. Looking at this beautiful scenery, a full of artistic inspiration came out of his mind, and 11 Wei suddenly realized that he had not painted any paintings for a long time. Ever since the shadow of the Dark Council was over his head, as the end of the original contract approached, he became more and more urgent, and even the speed of walking was much faster, as if there was an invisible whip behind him. I didn't dare to stop at the moment. Violet is a young college, and everyone around them is so young. Natalia is just 18 years old, Charlotte is not 19 years old, Yang is 17 years old, Meryl is 16 years old. Even the more mature Kristen, who is only 24 years old, is still the most youthful and shining in life. In order to catch up with their own pace, they have paid too much and will use almost all the time and energy in learning and research. This kind of life is of course meaningful. It is not like a timeless, but like a clean white wall, monotonous and boring. Life needs some embellishment, adding a striking color to this blank, making life bloom more fresh. Live power. Today, the advent of the turbulent era is inevitable. For a long time, the continent of Orient will become a battlefield that will be endless. Peace will be just a luxury. In the last peacetime before the advent of the war, Zai Wei made a decision, hoping to give the people around him a good memory for the violet. But what kind of activities can make everyone happy and leave an unforgettable impression in memory? Zai Wei stood up from the desk and returned to the master bedroom. On the soft and comfortable bed, Natalia was holding the white quilt tightly. The whole body was bowed and the lips were slightly tilted, giving a kind of the feeling of pure baby. Is obviously she is enjoying her dreams. However, this morning's dream soon ended. Sensing the proximity of Zai Wei, Natalia stunned her eyes. It's a beautiful day at dawn. Violet is like a wild horse that is rushing forward. When it is time to stop and eat and rest, I plan to organize an entertainment festival in the near future so that everyone can participate and enjoy the happy time. What are you doing? Suggestions. Zai Wei started consulting advice. It's so cool to listen to, it's very interesting. Let me think about it. Natalia jumped up and wore a milky white sweater. She was very interested in the idea of Zai Wei. The original drowsiness all disappeared in an instant. Yes, So soon in the winter, I originally planned to enjoy the southern island style of the beach sunshine in the summer. If I only change the temperature and climate for a short time, I think I still have a ways. Iway's proposal for his girlfriend is naturally going all out and trying his best. Really, haha, that would be great. I will invite Christine, Ilya, and little Meryl and Charlotte to enjoy a wonderful summer time together. Natalia smiles. From the heart, even the straight eyebrows turned into a curved willow at this moment. Natalia's proposal is certainly good, but there are already thousands of teachers and students in Violet. It is impossible for Ziwei to meet the needs of everyone by simply opening a summer beach landscape. It also needs more brainstorming to determine. Mrs. Wenschel is the most entertaining person on the entire Violet Island, and she has always been close to the students, and she should know the true thoughts of everyone at breakfast. Charlotte made his own suggestion. Mrs. Wenschel is still only a 4-ring mid-level magician. Ziwei opened the inheritance of some soul spells for her, but Mrs. Wenschel did not follow this path completely, but her emotional magic continues to flourish and continues to develop in a direction similar to that of a psychology professor. Because of this, Mrs. Wenschel opened an emotional magic class at the Violet Academy, and there is also a separate counseling room. Her class is very popular, and many young girls will consult some hard-to-find ones here. Troubled, Mrs. Wenschel also became a role similar to the intimate sister. Ziwei nodded, and soon Mrs. Wenschel entered the Fort Lauderdale. Speaking of it, she has not returned to Ayacho's Rose Manor for a long time. She seems to have found a new life goal in Violet Island, walking briskly. The whole person seems to be a lot younger, more like a big sister who is full of maturity in her 20s. President Ziwei, it's really rare to see you. I was really flattered when I got your call early in the morning. Mrs. Wenschel smiled, but the words had a subtle grievance. Since the establishment of the Violet Academy, the time that Ziwei really stayed in Violet has been few and far between, and it is rarely taught in person. It is said that his principal is really incompetent. Therefore, in the face of Mrs. Wenschel, Ziwei just kept smiling, and after a cold reception, Ziwei said his thoughts. Entertainment Festival. Mrs. Wenschel drank a hot black tea, which seems to put down in aggressive words. The president of Ziwei, know that among the 5,000 students of Violet, more than 3,000 are less than 10 at the age of 8, they are still minors in the true sense. For these students, we must give them the warmth and care of their families, not just use their achievements to spur and urge them. Mrs. Your suggestion is very reasonable. I am very grateful for the great contribution you have made. Ziwei sincerely responded. It was Mrs. Wenschel, Yang, Charlotte, and Morris. Meryl, Fawaway, and others, while he often left the Violet, maintained the operation of the entire college, solved most of the difficulties with great enthusiasm, and kept the school running on the right track. Very good, President Ziwei. The entertainment festival you proposed coincides with an event I planned during this time, and I can get your support. I think this event will be more successful. Wenschel, the lady, maintained an elegant posture and swept through the west with a scrutiny look. What kind of activity is it? 11 Wei asked. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 520. Genius. Remember love mail sign divided by. Say rightward arrow network to provide you with wonderful novel reading. The Violet Drama Competition, this time will no longer be just a performance inside the drama club. All the Violets can participate. Mrs. Wenschel showed a smug smile. According to my investigation in the Violet Forum some time ago, and long-term the feedback from the lectures and consultations, most of the students really want to participate in the performance of the drama, perform a role-playing, and stand on the stage. So I started to plan this Violet Drama Contest, and I can't make it without rich rewards. The young girls who are eager to act are letting go, so I hope to get the support of President Ziwei. Under the strong support and leadership of Mrs. Wenschel, the drama club has developed into the largest club of the Violet Academy. The wonderful theater performances are full, and many people like to watch this kind of performance, even for the plot. Let's go. Therefore, Mrs. Winchell's proposal also touched Ziwei. Ziwei nodded. I will fully support my wife's work. This Violet Drama Contest will be the focus and most important of the entire Violet Academy during this time matter. If you support it all, Mrs. Winchell showed a little demonic smile. Please also ask the president of Ziwei to perform on stage, and have a show. Ziwei brows slightly wrinkled, and what happened on the stage, or forget it? Mrs. Winchell naturally saw the idea of Ziwei. She looked at Natalia, who was sitting next to Ziwei, and Charlotte, who was standing next to her. She showed a big smile. Mr. Ziwei, as the principal of Violet, you have always been a high-cold character. Many students have told me privately that you are too far away from everyone, and you are full of dazzling brilliance, but not very kind. I think this kind of image pair, although it is a little less trouble for you, it may not be the best. If you can perform on this drama competition, I think you will be very popular. In fact, the best actor in Mrs. Winchell's heart has always been in the emotional magic of Ziwei, which is deeper than her own. Unfortunately, Ziwei has not satisfied her idea, and she has to find the next. Now, taking advantage of this rare opportunity, she is eloquently preaching, Mr. Ziwei, you are a well-known big writer throughout the continent of Orient. Before, it was full of Venice Merchant or several other scripts. Master style, it is easy for you to write another script. Mrs. Winchell looked at the people around Ziwei with an encouraging smile. Whether it is Miss Natalia or Miss Charlotte, it is such a beautiful beauty. If you and Mr. Elevenway are on stage, for a perfect performance for everyone, what a wonderful memory it will be. Both Natalia and Charlotte were obviously impressed by Mrs. Winchell's proposal. Although they did not speak, they looked at Ziwei with a burning gaze and tried to get him to agree. Ziwei took a deep breath and it was already here. He could only agree to it. Okay, madam, I promised you. Great, I am very much looking forward to the performance of you and the two ladies. Mrs. Winchell was like a general who won the battle. She was full of joyful atmosphere. Right, President Ziwei. In order to enhance the appeal of this drama competition, you have to be generous in the prizes and support you. After some discussions, Mrs. West and Mrs. Winchell finally negotiated the prizes of the drama contest. The final reward is far more than the previous apprenticeship spell contest, which is not rich. When Mrs. Winchell swayed and left, Charlotte said loudly, Ziwei, this time can not only be convenient for the drama club, our photography association also needs your strong support. The Photography Association is the only community that can compete with the drama clubs throughout the Violet Academy. As the president of the Photography Association, Charlotte is arguing for the welfare of his community. Just already talked about the name of the drama contest. Is it better to wait until next time? Elevenway licked his temple. It's not difficult. I think there are still a lot of people who are thin and don't dare to perform on stage. Your photography association can hold a role-playing photo contest. Everyone wears their favorite character costume to shoot. Natalia proposed a very constructive comment. Natalia naturally understood a lot of new knowledge and reason after wearing the martial suit and Ziwei rolling sheets several times. Charlotte's eyes lit up and looked forward to watching Ziwei. Ziwei naturally couldn't refuse, so the mode of the entertainment festival was confirmed. In the drama contest plus role-playing photography, Ziwei used his highest management authority to publish a notice of redemption at the Violet Forum. Christine also liked the Violet Forum module. In the recent 3 upgrades of the Western Ways spell list, the Violet Forum was upgraded every time based on feedback and suggestions from students, adding many new ones. The function. The current Violet Forum can not only deliver text messages, but also deliver pictures and sounds, dramatically evolving into instant messaging software that was popular in the early 21st century. As an administrator with advanced privileges, Fawaway will be in the Violet Forum every day, browsing various messages, and using the trumpet to make some funny questions when he is bored, just like throwing a bait, hanging up a string. Fish. Yes, the real name registration of the Violet Forum in an upgrade a month ago, the real name is only visible to the administrator. Everyone can register one or more account names to speak, so the atmosphere of the entire forum is lively and lively. 4 grams. Professor Riston's gratitude to Dade's post is even more numerous. Only the first account name registered is free. After that, the required arcane point for each account is an index increase. Most people have a trumpet at most, and the speech is still cautious. At present, the largest proportion of posts in the Violet Forum is undoubtedly a question posted. Many people will ask questions about their own learning confusion. Their questions will soon be answered by a group of enthusiastic seniors. Even a lot people in the follow-up posts are getting farther and farther, and the problem is quickly pulled from the most basic apprentice difficulty to the magician level. It is daunting and can't help but envy. Those more subtle answers that can solve the confusion will be added by the administrator and become part of the forum scores and prestige of the respondent. More points on the Violet Forum mean higher privilege, more prestige is more respectable, so more and more people begin to answer new questions, and even take the initiative to write some very valuable posts, often for newcomers carry out systematic explanations and answers. After being reviewed by the administrator, these posts will be added as the essence of the posts. The value of many of the best posts is even higher than the textbooks. The study of the elite posts has become one of the most effective ways for students to learn extracurricularly. As this situation evolved, more and more students asked questions at the Violet Forum, so that after the last plate upgrade, Christine had to develop a new magic question and answer subsection. The endless stream of question posts was wiped out from the home page. In addition, most of the following posts belong to the school announcements, community activities, customs, and the seasons of the wind and snow. Many people found their own happiness in the Violet Forum. To be continued. Mobile users, please browse and read, a better reading experience. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 521. The announcement of the Violet Drama Competition. Seeing this sudden appearance of the post, Fawaway spirit shocked, and quickly entered one of them to see. w.qdd.et. Actually, if you want to engage in drama competitions, the teachers and students of the whole school can register for the competition. After the preliminary screening of the Drama Society, they will perform in the auditorium. Finally, the teachers and students of the whole school will be ranked. It's really interesting. After the Apprenticeship Spell Contest and the Violet Nova Awards, did the college have a new event? The drama contest seems to be very good, although some stories of love and hate are very naive in Fawaway, but enough to pass the leisure time. However, when Fawaway saw the final award announcement of the drama contest, his eyes were round and stunned. The drama contest is participating in the prize, the arcane point is 1000 points, and the cast is distributed according to the contribution. Theatrical competition is in the top 8, the arcane point is 2000 points, the South China Beach summer invitation ticket is 2, and the Violet Tower Laboratory is used for 3 days. The 4th place in the drama competition is 4000 points for the arcane point, 4 tickets for the summer invitation of the Southland Beach, and a week for the use of the Violet Tower Laboratory. The 3rd place in the drama contest, 6000 points for the arcane point, 6 tickets for the summer invitation of the Southland Beach, and 2 weeks for the Violet Tower Laboratory. The 2nd place in the drama contest, 8000 points for the arcane point, 8 invitation tickets for the summer of the Southland Beach, and the right to use the Violet Tower Laboratory for 3 weeks. The winner of the drama contest, 10,000 points for the arcane point, 10 invitation tickets for the summer of the Southland Beach, the right to use the Violet Tower Laboratory in January, and the new work of Zyway Frost, Don Bay. Just a chance to participate in the competition has a full 1000 points of arcane points. To know that now on Violet Island, the importance of arcane points far exceeds the value of gold coins, whether it is renting laboratories, buying experimental equipment and casting materials or even magical things, or learning powerful and practical spells, buying magic potions. Most of them use arcane points to trade. It's very difficult to earn the arcane points. It's full of credits and various campus commissions. This is the way most Violet students get arcane points. For example, Fawaway can earn more rewards. But these are not comparable to the results of the paper published in the Journal of Violet. Fawaway's earning of the arcane points earned through teaching and completing tasks over the past year has only been more than 1,000 points, but a paper he published in the Journal of Violet helped him get 10,500 arcane points and a full 800 arcane points. However, the reward for this Violet drama competition is really too rich. Although the arcane point is distributed according to the contribution within the crew, Fawaway also knows about the regular drama performance. Almost all the behind-the-scenes staff of the drama contest are provided by the drama club. The formation of the crew only needs a qualified script plus a few supporting roles. A small-scale crew can even be composed of 4 or 5 people. In this way, the rewards for entering the competition are distributed, and each person exceeds 200 arcane points. You can redeem 21 ring spell models, or 2 3-ring spell models, or 2 bottles of Violet Austrian medicine. There are 5,000 people in the Violet Academy, and more than 3,000 of them are magic apprentices. For these apprentices, every arcane point is a fortune, and 200 arcane points are astronomical figures. The drama performance does not seem to be linked to the level of the magician, which means that the atmosphere of the entire college will be agitated. Although I don't know what the invitation card for the summer of the Southland Beach is, the reward for the use of the Violet Tower Laboratory even makes Fawaway feel fascinated. The Violet Tower is the earliest tower. After the completion of the Violet Academy, the 7-story tower became the location of the school's high-end research laboratory, which is far more unusual than experimental equipment, casting materials, and research environment. In the room, every Violet student is proud to be an assistant, let alone host the experiment. But these laboratories are occupied by professors and mentors, and even Fawaway himself does not have the opportunity to lead the experiment. I thought that the research on obesity secrets that I was doing lacked key experimental data and got into trouble. Fawaway's eyes brightened. He had to participate in the Violet drama competition and strive for a better place. If you can win the final championship, it means a full 10,000 arcane point and 1 month of Violet Tower Labs. The announcement of this top announcement was just the lunch break of the morning session, so the first time I saw this post there were a lot of students, and they were amazed at the rich rewards under the announcement, so the news of the Violet drama competition rapidly swept the entire campus. In addition to the drama competition, there is also a role-playing photography contest. Everyone can wear a specific costume or uniform and play a certain role. They can be famous characters, they can be the protagonists of the novel, and then they can take photos, make selections, and rewards. Rich, the champion has a full 3,000 arcane points. It was already early December, and after a long period of study life of several months, many students were already very tired, but the news of the Violet drama competition quickly made them excited. In reality, in the Violet forum the lively discussion began, and many people with strong mobility started the preparations for the crew. Because of this, every member of the drama club suddenly became a fragrant scent. As the royal actor of MRS Winschell, the head of the drama club, Jude, became the target of countless people, only it was an afternoon and I received more than 20 invitations. Returning to his apartment, Jude put a thick invitation in his hand on the table and said to his sister Esmeralda with a smug look, "I don't see it, I want to play the Violet drama the contest, How popular I am. Jude's heart knows that her sister has always refused to support her activities in the social activities of the drama club, but she certainly does not value it very much. Now he has a feeling of exalted. Jude, I want to say. Esmeralda sat opposite Jude, covering the face with the third paper of Arcane, and whispered with a low head, please be sure to participate in this contest. Jude's face looked strange and thought his ears were broken. He stared at Esmeralda and seemed to want to see a flower from her face. Must participate in this competition and win a good name. Esmeralda finally sat up straight, flattening the third phase of Arcane in her hand, her face with a blush color. The cyan pupil does not seem to have the focus. Our experiments on the formation of special substances in the interaction between men and women must rely on the Violet Tower Laboratory to complete the final link. Don't worry about my sister, I am the trump card of the drama club, Jude replied with a happy chest. Looking at the attitude that the sister who always refused to support her suddenly shy and asked for her to enter and win, Jude's heart was better than eating honey. Still happy, he suddenly came up with a bold and interesting thought, Esmeralda, I think you can also perform on stage. I can't, Esmeralda seemed to be shocked, and the red clouds on her face spread more and more. I have never had a dramatic performance experience. I didn't have any experience at the beginning, Jude quickly advised. Mrs. Winchell stipulates that the actors of the drama club must stand alone with people without performance experience, and not allow us to form a crew. After all, the champion, there is no suspense. Sister, you are the president of the student, and there are many students who are looking forward to your performance. If you don't participate, even if I win the prize, I can't break the rules and let the sister enter the tower to complete the experiment. That's bothering you. Jude. Esmeralda was deeply bowed. She didn't know about drama. She seemed to rely on her own brother. Don't worry, my sister, there is me, we are at least the top three, the champion is not a dream. Jude clenched his fist, and the sister in front of him seemed to be blind and weak in the slums of the Sin City of Palermo. The image of my sister coincides. This makes Jude full of fighting spirit. Can help my sister, I will definitely go all out. Theatrical competition? Such a high reward. Trees glanced at the top post and withdrew from the spiritual space of the violet badge. If a few hundred points of arcane point are not so attractive to him, the use of the Violet Tower Laboratory that the top 8 can get will not allow him to refuse. He wants to know his latest wind, aircraft, air. The power research has been carried out to the most critical experimental steps, but the existing laboratories simply cannot measure the precise data and derive the most critical formula. Trizer, let's sign up, it always feels very interesting. Girl Tracy looked forward to seeing her lover. Tree's father, Viscount Vincent, arrived in Nan Hai Town in mid-November and currently lives in a second-floor building purchased by Trees. After visiting the scenery of the entire college and the island, Viscount Vincent was very satisfied with Trees, and he was very kind to the girl, and this made the originally fearful girl a lot of fun. As long as the Viscountian Vincent did not oppose it, the world big, no one can stop her from being with Trees. We must ask professionals to ask for it. Trees thought about it, and sent a message to Miss Nightingale through the communication function of the Violet Forum. As a disciple of Mrs. Winchell, the Nightingale, as the first batch of magic apprentices recruited from Ajaccio, is now a 3-ring mid-level magician, and not far from the 4th order breakthrough. She performed as a drama club. The heroine, who is not moving, has a very high reputation throughout the Violet Academy. Between Jude and the Nightingale, many people are expecting them to become true couples because of their love and affection, but they seem to be good friends, but they have not gone any further and developed men's and women's feelings. Soon, Trees received a reply from Miss Nightingale, tonight at 7 o'clock, meet at the 2nd floor of the beachfront cafe. Trees took a look at the time. It is now 6:20 p.m. The Seaside Cafe is located on the most scenic coast of Nan Hai Town, Kui 11. Would you like to go to the Seaside Cafe with me? Dramatic things. Does Tracy want to date Miss Nightingale? Am I going to be inappropriate? Tracy replied hesitantly. Tree smiled and took a look at Tracy's head. Her hair was tied into two small symbols. The group was on the sides of the head and looked very cute. You are also a member of my crew. Why don't you? Okay, okay, Tracy leaned on Tree's body and walked out of the apartment door with him. The Violet Drama Competition. This is really a surprise to me, but it is also a rare opportunity. The exchange student from the Royal Academy of Magic in France has already returned, but Princess Lucia has been firmly here. Even though Ziwei has been Talia held an engagement ceremony, the original lively villa has become a lot of sorrow, and Princess Lucia has also started a diligent study career, and the whole person seems to have changed. Up to now, there is only 1.5 people who are still more intimate with Princess Lucia. One is Miss Iri, and the other half is the daughter of the Lord of Change, and Ilya, who has a green dragon. Looking at the glittering Lucia princess, Marnie sitting on the soft sofa showed a helpless expression. In her opinion, this Lucia princess is obviously unable to extricate herself from the net of love. The president of Ziwei is a very good man, but he already has his own fiancée, and he has no feelings for the Lucia princess. Any positive response? To know that as the princess of the French kingdom, Lucia has too many young talents to choose. Why is it that King Her Majesty and Queen are so reassured to leave the princess of the princess here, and not recalling Par? Marnie, I decided to be in the kingdom, I and Joe Bledley, that is, the story of another identity of Ziwei, rehearsed into a play, performing in this competition. Princess Lucia is facing her own. The girlfriend showed a bright smile. Marnie was helpless and could only cope with it and went forward with Princess Lucia. Although she is the third daughter of Count Alfonso, she is highly favored, but her qualifications in magic can only be considered as general. At the Violet Academy, it is dependent on the help and guidance of Princess Lucia, and the value provided in the home is not the support of Philippine property. Can be promoted from a ring magician to a 3-ring magician in just over a year. This speed is very bad, and my father is very satisfied with her. Because of this, Marnie will continue to maintain a good relationship with Princess Lucia. To be continued. A Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 522. This painting is a must. In the face of Ziwei's new work, Natalia stood for a long time. I feel a natural atmosphere, the intersection of sacred and the sea. This painting contains incalculable power. And even the rules, like the mountain and sea inheritance from the Big Master. The painting named Dawning Bay by Ziwei has just been completed, and the whole painting was completed by Ziwei. As Natalia said, in this painting, Ziwei incorporates the source of light that he has learned. And the part of the origin of the water, the upper half is the golden morning light, the lower half is the sea of the sea. The two different world sources have a hard expression in the painting, and a perfect harmony together. In fact, this painting is the most valuable prize in the Violet Drama Competition. Even if it is a master of magic or martial arts, it can also draw spiritual resources from this painting, and even a little bit of cognition and understanding of the world. Every insight will help them to grow solidly, and even help to grow into a legendary powerhouse. This painting is enough to be worthy of a city. In this painting, 11 Wei infused his own understanding of the origin of light and water. After analyzing the origin of snow and ice on Scarlet, Ziwei completed 2 high orders of frost and ice and water of vitality. The deduction of the inscriptions of the master water elements between the inscriptions of the elements and the inscriptions of the ultimate elements has taken a solid step towards the legendary title of Ziwei to the elemental field. The legendary magician of the 7 titles of the Orient world, in addition to the 4th law Chromie, the dragon of time, the other 6 should be purebred humans, and the 2nd law Grodic is a supreme person who can't be underestimated. He crossed the void at the peak of his own, left the universe where the whole of Orient was, crossed the crystal wall between the universe, and went to another world. Although Grodik has the title of empty traveler, Grodik is far beyond the standard of the ordinary sanctuary. Even the morning sun, Eulizia, admits that she has not been promoted to the true in one day. Oh, it's impossible to leave the Orient universe, even if it is God. The inheritance left by Grodik also brought great inspiration to Ziwei, using the empty inscription to interpret the laws of space, gradually exploring and observing the power of the most real laws, and using the inscriptions of the void to show the power of this law. It can even be passed down. Because of this, Ziwei will try to construct the spells of each school by inscriptions when they are promoted to the 7 masters of magic. The elemental inscriptions of the elemental school are more important, because the elemental inscriptions will be able to help Ziwei build a bridge to the legend of the elemental school. Earth, fire, wind, water, the 4 elements of the source, from the primary element inscriptions step by step, to the high order element inscriptions of 16, and then to the master order element inscriptions 8, and then simplified into 4 corresponding elements of the 4 elements inscriptions on the 9th order legendary elements, and finally mixed into one, the ultimate inscription of elements, means that Ziwei's understanding of the elemental school has penetrated into the law of the universe, simulating the degree of the law of the universe, and inevitably succeeding the legendary magician of the elemental school. Zhengu Shuo today. However, how difficult this road is. It is only the inscriptions of the 4 9th order legends. It is necessary to have an almost essential understanding and mastery of the elements of the earth, fire, wind, and water. This understanding and mastery even need to be sufficient. The extent of God is deeper than that of Eulizia's current understanding of the source of light. Ziwei can finally understand why the elemental school is the oldest school of magic, but has not yet borne a title school legend, because this road is too difficult. On the day when your vision is truly realized, the infusion of the 4 elements of the inscription not only means that you have earned the title of the elemental school, but also means that you will have the power to fight against the gods, meaning that you are out of the gods. The second path of immortality beyond. Although Ziwei did not get the origin of the corresponding elements of the earth, fire, and wind, but because of the mystery of the ether, he can perfectly transform the 4 elements, and the origin of the ice and snow from scarlet is no exception. Under the unremitting efforts of Ziwei, it was slowly transformed into the source of fire, and then turned into the source of the wind. In this process, although the power of the source has been continuously melting and disintegrating, Ziwei has also constructed the 8th order elemental inscriptions of fire and wind. The burning flame and the fire of Yang Yan, the former is the embodiment of the raging flame, the breadth of the range of spells and the most famous 7-ring flame spell Hellfire Rain for the separation, the latter is simulating the fire of the sun, the pure flame carries a small amount of the purest light. Eternal Storm, Imperial Wind, the former is the wildest and most innocent storm, with more powerful power and lasting destructive power than typhoons and hurricanes. The latter is a subtle gain spell that can be accepted. The surgeon realizes the spiritual mood similar to that of Peng Peng, greatly improving the mental strength and gaining the soul. In fact, although the inscriptions on the 8th order elements are the bridges that Ziwei built to lead the legendary path of the elemental school, these inscriptions are also standard spell model structures. Ziwei can confirm that these spells are used in their own hands. Reached the standard of the legendary 9-ring spell. At this point, as long as the final inscription of the 8th order element corresponding to the earth is completed, Ziwei will complete the deduction from 16 to 8. Although it is still far away from 8 to 4 and 4 to 1, the West Way will become true. The legendary caster, the legendary rank. This is not difficult. All that is needed is time and sentiment. The source of snow and ice from scarlet has become very small after 2 consecutive conversions. I am afraid that it will be completely consumed after the last conversion to the origin of the earth. Ziwei, my great writer, think about our script. Natalia interrupted Ziwei's imagination. I really like this Don Bei, I don't want it. It falls into the hands of others. Drama is divided into 2 major categories, One is comedy and the other is tragedy. Ziwei explained to Natalia, comedy makes people happy, but tragedy is to tear the best things to people, touch the soul resonates. If you simply win from the perspective of the game, then it is natural that tragedy has an advantage. Very good, then we will rehearse a tragedy. Natalia made a slap in the face, and she was very excited about being able to perform with Ziwei. The tragedy is also divided into two kinds. One is life, the bottom of the small people helplessly accept the fate of fiddling, like the fish on the fishing net cannot break free. The other is the heroic epic, the national hate, the situation is changing. This time, since the drama performance is expected by Natalia and Charlotte, Ziwei naturally wants to let them decide the script for the final performance. Of course, choose a heroic epic. Natalia interrupted the introduction of Ziwei, I don't think we can't play the tragedy of the little people. After all, it's too far from our life, or a heroic epic.